invocation.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for allowing us to come together to do the work of the Planning and Zoning Board. We pray, Lord, that you would guide us and direct us and lead us in the way you would have us conduct business. For us in Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Amen. You may be seated, please. Is there anyone in the audience this evening that would like to address this commission for any purpose other than what's on our agenda? Any questions or suggestions, something that does not relate to the agenda for this evening? All right, then we will move on to the adoption of minutes. Item number 4.1, discuss approval of minutes from January 26, 2023. Is there, commissioners, any questions or discussion? No? Then do I hear a motion, please? I have a motion for approval. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. This is carried. Item number 5, public hearing. And commissioners, the public hearings this evening will be for comments only. There won't be any action for public hearing itself. The next item on the list there will be required action. So the item number 5.1, conduct a public hearing to discuss and consider a zone change from light industrial to single-family residential 6, SF6, Lot 2A and Part 1A, Block 507, on 1.47 acres, the city of Terrell, Kaufman, Texas, also known as 509 Runnels Street.
Chairman, Commissioners, thank you for coming this evening. I know I'm not usually who you see up here, but bear with me and don't ask me difficult questions, okay? On the agenda, we do have a zone change from the applicant. If you look on page 12 of your packet, you'll see a map there just to get us oriented here. This is out in the Stallings Edition at the dead end of Runnel Street. So there's a lot of vacant land behind it. The applicant came forward and he is currently zoned as light industrial. You can see that map on page 13. He came forward and he does have a home there that he has been living in for the past couple of years, and he did request that he wants to apply for a homestead on his home, which he cannot do because of the zoning. So we encouraged him to kind of rezone to go in line with what the use is. If you look on page 14 of your future land use map, it does call for that lot to be part of the traditional neighborhood, so it does follow your comp plan, which staff is going to recommend approval of the requested zone change. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Ms. Mott? No? Okay, then in that case, I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to come forward and speak in favor of this proposed change? No? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to come forward and speak in opposition of this proposed change?
I move to approve item 5.2 as presented.
I have a motion and a second to change this zoning classification. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. It has carried. All right. Item number 5.3. Conduct a public hearing to receive comments regarding a specific use permit to allow a hotel and event center on its property currently zoned as retail. The property is approximately 8.6 acres of land that is out of John C. Hale Survey Abstract number 202, the city of Terrell, Kaufman County, Texas. The property is located on the northeast corner of Sage Hill Parkway and Independence Parkway. Will you help us, please?
Chairman, Commissioners, this is a specific use permit for a hotel event center out at Crossroads. If you look on your packet on page 22, you will see there is a little bit of acreage out there just south of that pond. On the south portion of that map is going to be Sage Hill Parkway, also known as County Road 301. And then you have I-20 at the bottom in that frontage road as well down there. So this is, if you remember back in January, we did a zoning update. One of those updates was to change our use charts to allow a hotel and a retail by S. So this is kind of the first action you're seeing. And this is going to be, we do have the owner in the audience here supporting. We've been working with him trying to put a hotel and conference event center. The definition of the zoning ordinance is in your package on page 20, but if you will jump to page 30 in the packet, I will kind of highlight what we're actually doing tonight. So this SUP really is to allow this hotel convention center by the site plan. Now, what that means is that we are giving him basically the use to go move forward with this project. There's still a lot of moving parts moving forward, but what I can tell you is that attached to the SUP is he would be able to do what you see in front of you is the hotel, 5 stories, more or less about 120 rooms. They will have a full-service restaurant on site and a minimum 20,000 square feet of meeting space, and it will include a central ballroom no less than 12,000 square feet. There is also a swimming pool with a minimum area of 1,000 square feet on there. You will see this again moving forward. Right now, we're just giving him zoning to be able to build and move forward with the process. Later, he will come back, do a full construction plat, final plat, the whole process. But right now, we're just giving him use to be able to move forward with this project. And staff does recommend approval of the specific use permit, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Sir? Are they not on? I'm sorry about that. I know it's hard to see in your packet, but it is on page 30. Those computers have been giving us a little trouble the past couple meetings. I apologize.
Can I get some clarification?
Yes, sir.
On the packet we have, it has the owner as the city of Terrell. Is that not accurate?
So the applicant is going to be a city of Terrell. This is a city-initiated specific use permit.
Okay.
The owner did not come by because they're not technically the owner yet.
Okay.
So this is a city application coming forward.
Any discussion, questions, Ms. Myers? No? All right, then I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to come forward and speak in favor of this specific use permit? Please come forward. Tell us your name, please, sir.
Good evening, or it's almost evening. I'm Ron Natinsky, the developer of the hotel and the adjoining 20,000 square foot convention center for the city. I just here in support, so you know that there is somebody human behind all this to make it all happen. We're excited. We've been working on this for about a year now with city staff and so forth. It's not been easy, as you know, the economy's getting tougher and interest rates are going up, but we feel good about where we are with it. And as soon as we run through some final, processes with the city, we're ready to move forward with this. As you can see from or I don't know if you can see or not see there since you were saying, but that is our site plan that we plan on getting approved, right down to the number of parking places and everything else. So we think we've got a good project that the city can be proud of and that we can be proud of working with the city to get it completed. So if there's any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them. I basically just wanted to come down here and put a face to the project so you know who's going to be city's partner in moving this forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to come forward and speak in favor of this specific use permit? All right. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to come forward and speak in opposition to this, granting this specific use? Then I will close the public hearing. Item number 5.4, discuss and consider ordinance number 2956, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Terrell, Kaufman County, Texas, granting a specific use permit under the provisions of 31B, Appendix 2, zoning ordinance of the City of Terrell, allowing an exception to the provisions of Section 36, Appendix 2, zoning ordinance of the City of Terrell for certain property, more particularly described as 8.6 acres of land out of the John C. Hale Survey, abstract number 202, City of Terrell, Kaufman County, Texas, being located on the northeast corner of Sage Hill Parkway and Independence Parkway, according to the concept plan attached hereto as Exhibit A, and made a part hereof for all purposes by permitting a hotel and event center to be constructed on said property, currently zoned as retail, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Commissioners, do you have suggestions, questions, or anything about this?
I would make a motion that we approve 5.4.
I have a motion for approval of this granting this specific use permit. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. This is carried. All right, Commissioners, items number 5.5 and 5.6 have been withdrawn for tonight's agenda. We probably see them again, maybe, or see this again next month. So we will move to item 5.7. Item number 5.7, conduct a public hearing to receive comments regarding a planned development highway corridor base zoning on a total of 15.655 acres of land as recorded in deed volume 3215, page 388, and deed volume 2573, page 326, the City of Terrell, Kaufman County, Texas. The property is located south of Interstate 20 on the southeast corner of Sage Hill Parkway and Farm to Market Road 148. The planned development will allow the use of a rodeo arena with additional retail uses, also known as 11,300 FM 148 and 11,392 FM 148. Ms. Mata, would you please enlighten us on this, please? Thank you.
Chairman, Commissioners, before you, we have a planned development highway corridor. On page 61 of your packet, you will see two areas highlighted here. So at the top of your map, you'll see Interstate 20 going there, and then going, these two properties front on FM 148. This is just south of I-20, south of Buc-ee's. So kind of that area. County Road 305 is right there to the left. You can see it there. We are doing a city-initiated plan development for these properties. We have been creating this for the property owners to apply for a specific use permit under the PD. So a little bit about this, if you will jump to page 70 in your packet, this will kind of explain it a little bit better. So here you will see the development standards that we have for these property that the city is proposing. So under allowable uses, Numbers 1 through 3, you see amusement, commercial, outdoors, rodeo arena, and resale of salvage building materials in an indoor retail store. The difference in these two will be that the plan development will allow these three uses by right under the PD as long as they comply with our normal highway corridor zoning, which is what the property is zoned as right now. In addition, the same three uses will be able to be used at these properties with special exceptions if they apply for an SUP. What that means is basically the owners can come forward or the CO applicants can come forward, give us basically a game plan on the SUP, and then we can kind of see and work with them if they're not able to meet all those highway corridor requirements for the zoning. The other provisions down there basically just say that the certificate of occupancy will be granted if and when they can meet everything, or they can come forward, do the specific use process, which is before the Planning and Zoning Commission and then City Council in order to get that. There is a letter in your packet on page 66 that was received for the zone change that was sent out, and staff does recommend approval of the ordinance. And I will be happy to answer any questions. Yes. Yes. So it was a rodeo arena per my knowledge, and then when when it was annexed into the city, it was zoned for a highway corridor zoning. And so currently in our zoning ordinance, that use does not align with the proper zoning with the zoning it was given when it was annexed. So that's why we're trying to basically kind of do this PD/SUP. So we will, the owner / CO applicant will be able to use that as those three listed, the rodeo arena, the yard, and the other one. So, Mr. Rogers can correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I know, when you're brought into the city, where it was annexed in, it was given a certain zoning. There's a lot of other stuff in there. I'm gonna have Mr. Rogers clarify that for me, because I do not want to give you a wrong answer. Yes, ma'am.
Has this been in conjunction with both landowners? Or is this strictly the city working on their own on this?
I am not sure. I'm gonna call Mr. Rogers to kind of answer that for me.
It's the city against Jeff Smith.
If he's gonna help me out here.
We go to the map, please. So we're taking, so if you look at the kind of T-shaped property, the large piece, has the rodeo arena, within it, been a retail operation before. Fronting on FM 148 are some stables, and then in the very back at what I'd call the bottom of the T is where the old tack shop was at. There's also a residential unit that was on this property that's not within this zone change that's on that property. There's also additional property next to it that's owned by the same owner. Then there's a little triangular piece up here that has a different operation on it. And so right now, both operations don't match the zoning. So we're trying to get the uses that are there aligned with the zoning that's on it. And as I said, we've initiated this. And so one of the owners is here. He will speak during the public comment period of this for the rodeo arena. And I know that the current occupant of the triangle-shaped piece is here, and I'd be surprised if he doesn't speak too. Sure.
So I noticed on one of the uses for this particular PD is a salvage, indoor salvage, sell indoor salvage material, or sell salvage
Correct.
Are you telling us that that's gonna be an indoor, there's not gonna be a yard out?
No, the whole point of that is no outside storage. So the kind of operation could occur as long as it's indoors.
Any other questions for Mr. Rogers or Ms. Mata? Any discussion, questions from Ms. Dell?
What's out there, right? What's it being used for at the moment?
Right now, it's a
Well,
resale shop for like lumber and household materials that we get out of the houses that we demolish. And we also have our equipment there as well.
I think some of these things might be better asked when the public hearing's open and these folks are up here. They can give you a better on-the-record response on those.
All right, so let's open the public hearing. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to come forward and speak in favor of, this change?
11,300? Is that the one you're asking? Yes, I would like to speak. I'm not good at this. I've never done it before, but I'm the owner of 11,300 FM 148. I bought it in 2007. It was being used as a rodeo arena. Then, when I bought it, it was actually in a foreclosure, but it had always been used as a rodeo arena for 20 or 30 years. I mean, the building's pushing 50 years old. And in 2007, when I bought it, the property taxes were $6,600. Roundabout, when Buc-ee's moved in, they annexed it into the city limit. The property taxes went to $57,000. I'm trying to make a living. It's hard for me to pay $57,000 worth of taxes. So I hired somebody. We fought it. We got them lowered to 35. And so then I was like, this is too valuable property for me to be running a saddle shop on. So I go to Wills Point. I bought some cow pasture, built a saddle shop on it, which we run now. And I put my property up for sale. I had no idea that I couldn't sell my property. So not 3 months after it was on the market, the Kaufman County came to me and they wanted to buy the property. They said, Jeff, we'd love to have this. Forney's one of the biggest growing communities there is, and we want to have this for the 4-H kids. I said, yeah, that'd be great. They made me an offer, quite a bit less than what I had it priced for, but I thought it'll be good for these kids to have it like it is. So I sold it to them, put it in contract, set in contract. They paid the earnest money, must have set in contract for 4 or 5 months. They finally called me up one day. They said, we need to have a meeting at Starbucks. Well, I want to talk about what's going on. So they said, Jeff, there's some really funny stuff going on with the city. Something about this Mike Sims and this terrorist tax reinvestment fund or whatever. I don't know what that is, but it made them back out on buying the property. Okay, I put it back on the market. I get another contract. They go to the city. They can't get along with Mike Sims and Shumpner. Next seller, next buyer comes up. Then me and my lawyer, we come to the court up here to meet with Sims and Shumpner. They look me in the eye. I have it on a recorded conversation on my phone that he looks at me and he says, Jeff, if you will bring me somebody that wants to buy this property using it the way it's been used for 20 or 30 years, we won't have no problems here. So I get a phone call from a great friend of mine, Dalton Wiley. He said, Jeff, I want to buy your place. He said, me and Amy, we want to move our store, which is now right here in Terrell, the rancher's wife. We want to move it out there to your place. We want to run the arena and have our retail store just like you have it. Will you finance it to me? I said, yeah, sure. I thought there was no problems. I sell the property to Dalton, you know, what I done was a lease purchase with an option to buy, you know. So anyway, 5 or 6 months into it, he wants to put on a barrel racing. He comes up, he files for an occupancy, and I'm going off hearsay on this part of it. He files for an occupancy. He had the record of where he done it. Anyway, he has a practice barrel racing out there. I'm out of town. I'm in Arizona. He calls me on Monday of like 2 weeks past this, and he says, Jeff, they've shut my power off. I said, do what? I said, the property's not in your name, it's not conveyed, it still belongs to me. Realistically, I am leasing it to you. I said, why did they shut your power off? So I called somebody at the county that I knew, and he was like, Jeff, this is getting out of hand. You need to go back up there and talk to the city. So Dalton hires his lawyer. We come back in here. We talk to Mike Sims and Shupner. Nothing ends up really happening. Just can't get nothing done. So Dalton backs out on buying the property. So now I have the property back, and here I am. Absolutely. I'm in favor of that, and I'm also in favor of getting my power cut back on. Okay, I just wanted to make sure it's recorded.
Greg Lamb, I own the property on the other side of 148. I'm not against this. I'm glad to see the development, but I've got a couple of concerns. One is that's floodplain, and depending upon what their development is, it could back up into my property because it's already having drainage issues from all the development to the north. That's one concern, what they do with their water and how they develop it. The other concern I've got is I don't mind the retail uses or the rodeo. That's fine. But if we're having indoor salvage, I mean, the outer loop is going to be coming just a little bit further east. This is high visibility property. And I'm not so sure salvage indoor outdoor is kind of what we want in this area because this is just where everybody's going to be. So to that extent, I'm in favor of it, but those two concerns.
My name is Heather Hurd. I own the property 14100 right there. It's not in the red. I also had my electricity cut off, and I'm also worried about this development flooding into my land. But I'm in favor of him using his property the way he's used it. And I would like my electricity back on as well, because I'm not even in this red part, so that's all I have to say. Right, but I was told that it was a zoning issue, is why they cut off my electricity. Well, my grandpa built that arena right there, so yeah. Mm-hmm.
Chester.
My name is Terrell with ADJOURN. I'm the current occupant at 11392 North FM 148. I'm in favor of anything that allows me to abide by the city rules, but I also have some concerns as well. My biggest concern is the fact that, you know, you have people like me. I'm a son of Terrell. I'm from here and born and raised, and there has to be some I guess promotion of that. That's what we want to see. Clinton Huey, I went to school with him. I went to school with a lot of people. Steve Rogers, I went to school with his kids. I came back here to give back to this community. That's what I'm trying to do. But I'm also trying to make a living and feed my family as well. So the gentleman said that he's concerned about it being a retail shop. Well, there's for me, this is an opportunity for me to get my claim stake here in Terrell, for me to buy this property eventually and have some type of development, overall development. I don't plan on my demolition, resale, retail shop being there forever. I'd like for it to be office space for me, and maybe even something different that I can develop the property into whatever I want it to be, because that's my piece of Terrell that I've been able to come back and get, right? That I went out, represented Terrell since I was in ninth grade with the utmost dignity and utmost respect. Did it all the way till I was an Ole Miss graduate. Then I went to the NFL and represented Terrell the same way. And now I'm back here. After my NFL career is over, I chose to come back here and give back. And so that's what I'm trying to do. And so I don't have a problem with the special use permit and getting me on the straight and narrow with the city of Terrell. I don't have a problem with that. But what I do have a problem with is the fact that we don't have any sewer out there. We don't have any city services at all, but we're having to bend and mold to whatever the policies are for the city of Terrell, but we're not getting what we need as citizens. We're not getting that water. Right now, y'all are in a fight with Rose Hill Water. That's been an issue ever since I've been there. There is a floodplain there, but that floodplain is 10 times worse. I don't care what anybody says. I do excavation and I divert water on a regular basis. Nobody can tell me that Buc-ee's development and everything else where they're getting ready to put that hotel in that y'all just had proposed to you. Every time we do something, that water is diverted directly onto this man's property and onto mine. So we're asking people to conform to what the city of Terrell wants, but we're not getting what we need as citizens. It's disheartening. Honestly, there's been times where I've been wanting to throw in the towel. I'm a very resilient person. I don't know if anybody knows my dad, but my dad's Charlie Harris. And I had the same pizzazz and the same fight that he had. He sat on the Planning and Zoning Board. He sat on the Police Advisory Board. We lived on 910 North Rockwall my entire life. And I've been away from this town, and I've heard people say, I don't want to come back here. Terrell's terrible. They're hard to work with. We're seeing that. We're seeing that. This man had a multi-million-dollar business that we pushed him away. I've had lunch with Early Wiley. I know Mike Smith, that's the judge here, very well. Knew him when he was a DARE officer. We gotta fight for the people of the city of Terrell. We're the ones that put Mike Sims where he's at. He works for us. If you have somebody like this, somebody like me that's trying to be a fabric of the community, why are we not taking care of that? Why are we making it so hard to do business here? But we'll give every hotel chain out here whatever they want. They got the money to do it. Let's take care of our own people. Right, Carrie Hartwell? Yes, sir. I mean, come on now. That's what I need. I need the support that I'm asked to do what I'm supposed to conform to here, but I'm not getting what I need. Other than that, I'm in favor for it. Thank you.
Located south of Interstate Highway 20 on the southwest corner of Sagesville Parkway and Farm Road 148, consisting of 15.655 acres of land out of the Swing and Laws Survey, abstract number 512, Kaufman County, Texas, and more particularly described by metes and bounds in deeds recorded in volume 3215, page 388, and volume 2573, page 326. Real property records of Kaufman
Am I?
I'm not getting it, and I don't know why I'm not getting it, because it's always been a retail, rodeo arena, and, I mean, that's why I used to take my horse years ago. I'm trying to figure out what's the problem.
When I potentially thought about selling it, according to the lawyers I talked to, they said, Jeff, that property is grandfathered in. It stays grandfathered in, right? I didn't know when I sold it, it's no longer grandfathered in, and we're gonna shut off everybody's power that gets connected to it. I did not know that. And that's the part that I cannot wrap my head around and comprehend.
Yes, sir. A little bit of clarification, just so hopefully you understand. You can stop me at any point and ask me any questions. So when it was annexed in, it was zoned for highway corridor. The highway corridor zoning is the certain standards you have to meet, and all of the uses that are allowed in that zoning are in our zoning ordinance, and that's why we go by. When this property was at one point, to my understanding, outside of the city limits, it is now inside, which it is now zoned highway corridor. The reasoning for us to bring you this planned development is for us to work with the owners of this property to be able to do the uses that they have there, because their uses are not allowed in the highway corridor per our City of Terrell zoning ordinance. So by applying this planned development in the three uses that we granted them under those development standards, we're working with them, making sure that they can still operate their business, but still conform to the highway corridor standards, or they can come in and do the specific use permit in order to do what they need to do as far as their business, but still be in alignment with that. Does that kind of explain it a little bit?
I have a question for the gentleman right here. Can you come up for a second? I'm trying to understand, for example, if you are in agreement with the approval of it, I'm trying to understand why why everybody seems to be so upset.
Yeah.
I just don't understand.
So here's the thing, right? So the reason why that it is, and I can understand how it could be confusing, because even myself, I was like, well, I don't know if I need to oppose it, but if Jeff's for it, I'm here in support really for him. Our address is on there. I don't really care what the city of Terrell zones it, honestly. I really don't. As long as...
To answer your question, I think she and I are upset because we're in the dark. My 14-year-old daughter, we have horses in the barn, Mike Sims. Somebody from the city of Terrell cut my power off, okay? I've been without power for 6 months. 80,000 square foot building in the dark. I've been paying my bills, my light bill, since 2007. My light bill has ran as high as $5,500 a month. I paid it every month. I signed a 1-year lease with an option to buy on my property, and the city cut my power off and ran my customer off. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, so let me explain to you. So, and that's true. And what the reason is because technically Dalton can't stay there, right? I've been told that I can't stay there. I can't be allowed to stay there. That's the issue. We don't have an issue with if it's a special use permit and it grants us what we need, but it also can't be an economic or financial hardship that forces us out. You know, we see all these shows with Yellowstone, and they're trying to take over the Dutton Ranch and all. It's the same thing. You're being forced out because you don't have the money that the guy at Las Lomas has, that he's not developing all of Forney and getting all the Amazon people. That's why we're upset. We're being forced out. We're being forced out. It's like a takeover, like a hostile takeover. And so we're for the special use if it gives us that, but you're not giving us water, you're not giving us sewage, you're not giving us trash pickup, and you're expecting us to conform to these things. He has to put in a water main or a water system. Rose Hill doesn't have what it takes to support a fire hydrant system.
So is I understand that with the change of the zoning, right? So I'm clear. Because what he's suggesting is that if the zoning changes to what the city is proposing, then essentially this man would be out of business, is what you're
Absolutely.
saying.
Absolutely.
So help me to understand how those two things are colliding.
It's under Under the current zoning as it stands today, the use on the property is not allowed per the zoning that it is.
Okay.
That is why it is a city-initiated plan development in order to kind of modify those uses that we can add what the current use is in order to allow them to be there.
So with the zoning change, right, even though,
Yes, sir.
let's just say we approve the zoning change.
In the PD, yes, sir.
Yeah, we approve it. Are you saying to me that he would still be able to function? That's the word I want. Function, yes.
He would be able to go through the process to make sure that he is in line with what the city is.
So he would need to come up, he would need to come up here.
Correct. He would have to come up to current code.
Understood.
And in the development standards that we have on there, the use that he currently is operating, he would have to go through the normal city process, bring the building up to code, make sure he gets a certificate of occupancy, and go forward from there.
Okay.
So in regards to that, and that's why there's that 2 zoning on that page. One of them is he can completely go through the highway corridor standards, which they are, something, it's gonna take a long time to be there. We don't wanna definitely not do that. So that's why we added that extra layer in, where you can do the specific use permit, come in, have a game plan of what you're gonna do, come up to current code, do the CO, this is what I'm gonna do to get it as close to the zoning standard, and then be able to operate the business.
I think the problem, I don't want to speak over nobody by no means, but the law reads, if a piece of property is grandfathered in and it was functionable when it was grandfathered in, you do not have to bring a piece of property up to code that is grandfathered in. I don't care what nobody says. You all need to go read the law because Terrell is fixing to get it handed to him pretty shortly, I can tell you.
Yeah, my grandfather owned this land and my father passed away.
You don't have to change a piece of property that is grandfathered in. You don't do that.
I have another question. When was this, when did it convert from county to city annexation? What year?
When did Buc-ee's get built?
2017.
Okay, in 2017, so about 2015 or 16, it got annexed. That's when the property taxes on my piece of property went to busting almost 70,000 at one point.
So what part, can you go back to the map?
He's right next door to me, the little spot closest to Buc-ee's.
So you're in the triangle. This gentleman's in the triangle area?
Mr. Harris's land is that little triangle, yes, sir.
Here's what I don't understand about his property. When it was grandfathered in, before it ever become in the city, it was an automotive shop. They were selling cars out on the front line for $500.
Gentlemen,
So, I mean, it's grandfathered in.
Whatever the state law is for the grandfathered properties and stuff, I'm sure the city clerk will fight.
They're not.
They're not.
Well, then that can be discussed,
Exactly.
but it's not in the planning and zoning commission to be discussed.
I feel like y'all need to be aware.
So we're asking you, we have asked you to tell us if you approve of this plan development, do you approve?
I approve for sure.
You do?
Of it to rezone back to a rodeo arena like it happened.
It's gonna be zoned, whatever it is, it's highway corridor zone. Highway corridor is what it's zoned now. When it was annexed, that zoning changed, and now the properties have to eventually meet the criteria.
But the meaning is to change the zoning back to where it was, correct?
Here's the city staff is doing everything they can to make you be able to comply with that in a reasonable way. Whatever, I have no idea what's not in compliance.
You're asking stuff that can't be done.
Exactly, and it's creating a hardship. That's what, it sounds good, and I'm just gonna call it what it is. It sounds good, but it's not really doing that.
Let me give you just off the wall, not applying to this situation at all, but just an example. If there's an old mobile home out here somewhere in the country where sewage is running out on the road, out on the ground, and it's just not lining up to the zoning ordinances that no sewer is allowed to run out on the ground. Well, it's gonna make the tenant or whoever owns the property mad if we say, no, you gotta fix the sewer because it's unhealthy and it's this and it's that and whatever the reasons are. So when it comes into the city limits, then we have that right to produce ordinances and ask the people out there to comply with us. That's really all we're trying to do in this case.
And that's what I'm trying to get, like, and I respect what you're saying, Mr. Stevens, but that's why we're all so upset about the situation. Because on one hand, you're saying that, and we're being asked to comply with these standards, we don't even have what we need to comply with those standards. We don't have any sewer out there. There is no water. Terrell doesn't even own any lines out there to do the water. So it's like, how can we even conform to anything? If he has to get a sprinkler system, fire suppression system, we're doomed. We're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. That's what we're at. If we oppose it, we're damned. If we approve it, we're damned. Because now, and his big thing is, and it's kind of my thing too, y'all are gonna change it regardless, or y'all are gonna keep it either way, highway corridor or specific use permit. The specific use permit looks good and sounds good. We're trying to help you, but at the same time, it's also, what's the easiest thing to do is to say, he's grandfathered, I'm grandfathered, y'all can stay there, no problem. Because my owner hasn't changed my owner's owned it since the same time. So that's what I'm saying. If you have now are requiring us to come up to city code and we can never do it. You move the goalpost back. You see what I'm saying? We can't do any of it. There's no way.
They're asking me to pick up a 80,000 square foot building and move it 30 foot from a creek so somebody can drive around it. It can't happen.
Well, this discussion about, I don't know about all that stuff. All we're trying to do tonight is to see if this plan development will work for you.
I have another question, Mr.
I
Stevens.
think my lawyer's going to answer it.
I have another question. So, any of these buildings being existing, did any of them have some kind of permit from the county, some kind of CO from something that you could say, hey, I got inspected, it was to code at that given time, or anything like that? Any inspections of some sort with the county or something?
Because it's been grandfathered and it hasn't been required.
The thing is the county had adopted the fire code, and they were based out of the 2008.
County came by and checked on my property annually with fire sprinklers.
Okay, that's what I mean. Do you have
all that stuff?
that could work to your advantage, because if you had some kind of inspections there, because from what I'm hearing, I work at the county fire marshal's house right now.
You're talking about a piece of property that had the civic auction for the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah,
All these people
yeah.
come and sit in it. That's the same piece of property that we're having a headache with.
Yeah, my question is that if you had all these inspections in place, you could use that to your argument, in my personal opinion. But I'm not a lawyer. I'm not nothing. I'm just saying I work for the county fire marshals right now. I'm running into situations just like yours, where people are saying, I'm in the county, I never needed to comply, I never needed a building permit, I never needed a CO. Those rules were already in place. It was just that there was not enough staff enforcing these things in place to begin with. Now, I'm just throwing it out there, so you got annexed 2017, so that means anything before 2017, you were running on the 2018 edition of the county fire code, which still called for COs to be required of some sort, based out of the 2008 edition of the International Fire Code, which addresses any business needs a CO, needs to be inspected. It's just fire and life safety, and that comes to water supply. That comes to posting your address in the front. It comes to, hey, do you have a fire lane? If somebody drops down right there, heart attack or whatever, you call 911, can they access that property without getting stuck in the mud or something around those lines? There was rules already in place. The rules were there, just that they were never being enforced. And people were not familiar with them, and either they were not educated or they really didn't know. The fire code book's about this thick, the building code is about the same size, right? So it's hundreds of pages, if not thousands. It's hard to navigate through. Even lawyers have a trouble navigating, even to interpret those code and what they mean. And that's my comment.
Read the law on it before they go telling us what to do is what I really think they should have done. Because the law does not read exactly what you're saying. The law reads, if a piece of property is grandfathered in, you do not have to go change all of put sprinklers in it. How do you want me to put sprinklers in an 80,000 square foot building with no water? It was grandfathered in the way it is. That's what the law reads. And it's gonna be one disaster of a lawsuit fixing to come.
Okay, so if there's gonna be lawsuits and lawyers and all this, maybe we should table this and set this whole timetable back.
Maybe we should ask
I agree. I mean, we're sitting there with no pocket.
You may not get powers till the lawyer. So if you wanted to approve the PDs.
I mean, set in the dark as to make.
I don't know how commissioners will vote, but we can either vote to approve or disapprove or to table, right?
Well, but it sounds like it's already been zoned, it's already been annexed, it's already zoned highway corridor.
It is currently zoned highway corridor, yes, ma'am.
So with that being said, it's already zoned that, so that's already, we can't change that, because that's already been done. So what we're asking, sounds like what staff asking now is for the specific use permit. So your buildings can stay as is with some improvements, am I correct?
That is correct, and they would have to go through the city process, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
The zoning is already.
The zoning would stay as is, it's just, yes, ma'am, it's like the base layer, and then we're just adding on, kind of like a little protector. This is kind of what we're doing, yes, ma'am.
It kind of paves the road towards finally getting to be, you guys can stay there, but as long as you comply to these,
Comply with
the
city.
city process.
Yeah, it's going to stay highway corridor zoning.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to stay.
That is correct, yes, sir.
We're trying to get an opportunity for you guys to be able to do what you need to do.
Continue the way they were doing.
I don't know what it takes to get water out there, or sewer, or anything else. All I know is we're trying to make a path for you guys to be able to operate your business.
You would have thought they would have knew that before they sent us a $28,000 bill.
But we're here now. So,
I understand what you're saying, but if it came out of y'all's pocket, 28,000 a year just for city taxes, y'all would be in the same position I am.
well, I'm a
No
taxpayer
utility.
in this city, my friend.
You probably got water and you probably got sewer, if I was a betting.
Anytime I look at it.
Exactly, I don't.
All right. I think I'll just rather go to court. I'm over it. I've fallen enough with this. All right. Is there anybody else that would like to speak in opposition to this?
Well, it sounds like we've had a mixture of both.
I'm going to close the public hearing. All right. Do you have other comments?
No, sir, I would just answer any questions if anybody needs any clarification.
Is this in line with the comp plan?
The current zoning of highway corridor is in line with the comp plan, yes, sir. You have let me point it out just to answer your question. On page 62, you'll see in your packet that the blue, that is all highway corridor. You have highway corridor on both sides of 148. The lighter one is executive states. That is what it's currently zoned. I don't have one of a future land use map in here, but yes, it is.
I have something to say quick. I understand where they're coming from. In regards to it being zoned, I know it's already zoned that, but is that something future that we're gonna be looking at? So for example, if we annex somebody else, or we're not gonna automatically put them out of business? I don't understand what the grandfather thing is. I'm not gonna say I even understand a little bit of it, but I'm pretty sure the city's working on it and it's gonna fix whatever needs to be fixed or do what they gotta do. But just one of my main concerns coming is if we start annex, or any part that we already annexed, or we're gonna look at future annexing, are we saying that we're gonna put these local business people out of business because they're not meeting what we need? Because I don't understand the grandfather clause.
It didn't happen until property sold, was trying to be
Correct,
sold.
okay.
So it was a change of
Ownership.
Ownership.
That's what caused this whole, okay. Just kind of getting an idea of what caused all the, okay. That kind of, all right, well, thank you very much. Mm-hmm.
Commissioners, do I hear a motion of some sort?
I move to table this.
I have a motion to table this until further talk, I guess.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. This has been set aside for another meeting. Action item number 5.9. Conduct a public hearing to receive comments regarding a planned development retail-based zoning on 10.9 acres of land, the city of Terrell, Kaufman County, Texas. The property is located south of Crossroads Parkway and west of Independence Parkway. The property will be a multifamily development.
Chairman, Commissioners, before you, we have a planned development retail on 10.9 acres. If you look in your packet on page 74, you will see a map of the property that we are discussing. So just a little bit to orient you, at the top of the map, you'll see. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Sorry, Mr. Chairman. At the top of your map, you will see Spur 557. Right there, the little red is the 10.9 acres. To the right of the map, that line right there that you see, that road, that is Crossroads Parkway. Next to the red area is going to be the two Ventures apartment complexes that are out there getting built. And then just to the north is going to be that dealership out there on Spur 557. The planned development is for a multi-family residential development. I do have Mr. Jeff Lindsay here, he's in the audience, supporting this. We have gone back and forth discussing the development standards on this, and they are in your packet on page 83. There is also a site plan on page 87. Just to highlight a couple of things on the development standards in your packet, there are some height and area regulations, there are some landscaping standards, and there are a little bit different of square feet for the efficiency 1, 2, and additional rooms on there. The development itself is going to, the development standards, they kind of mirror the ones that we have for the venture, so the one that is just east of this one, the 2 phases already. Different developer, but they are very similar. That's going to be basically the bones that we had for this one. We kind of modified a little bit. And then I will point out in your packet on page 88, that's going to be an elevation for the concept of the front. Something unique to this one that I will point out to you is that it does not have a standalone amenity center. On the site plan on page 87, you can see kind of a little shaded area that is going to be embedded kind of on the first floor of that. That's going to be your office lease space where you're going to be in. So it will look, the front will look like the front elevation on page 88. Your site plan on page 87 kind of lays out a little bit on what we got going on there. There's an entryway, and then you have buildings all around. You have an exit on Independence, and then 2 over on Crossroads Parkway. And I am happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
Any questions for Ms. Mata? No questions. I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to come forward and speak in favor of this plan development? What's your name, please, sir?
Jeff Lindsay, I'm with Westwood Residential. Really just wanted to give you a little background on us. We've been in the North Texas area for the past 30 years, developing multifamily. A little over 60,000 units have been developed. We've got 4 under construction right now up in Frisco and in McKinney. And one of the things we did during this process was we got together with Mike Sims and actually took him to a development that we had underway up in Denton. So he got a good idea, a good flavor of what we will actually be doing. So I just wanted to let you know we've been around for quite a while. We've done this consistently over the years, and at the appropriate time, I'm happy to answer any questions, Jeff.
Any questions for this gentleman? Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this plan development? All right. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to granting this plan development? All right, then I'll close the public hearing. Item number 510, discuss and consider ordinance number 2959, ordinance of the City Council of the City of Terrell, Kaufman County, Texas, providing for
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. This has carried. Action item number 6, 6.1. Discuss and consider a final plat for the Chosen Generation Church Addition Lots 1 and 2, Block A, being 6.482 acres out of the L.H. Adams Survey, the city of Terrell, Kaufman County, Texas, also known as 2051 Griffith Avenue. Ms. Motto?
Chairman, Commissioners, before you, you have your final plat. This is Chosen Generation Church, lots 1 and 2, Block A. If you look in page 92 of your packet, this one is pretty straightforward. The red right there will outline the property. Just to the left of the page, you have Highway 205, and then on the other side, you have Griffith Avenue. Just north is where they meet, so all that right there, and then there is County Road 236 that fronts one side of the property. This plot is making 2 lots, and it does have a 25-foot drainage and utility easement along the frontage of Griffith, and Lot 2 has a 40-foot right-of-way dedication along County Road 236. The plat is in your packet, and staff does recommend approval of this final plat, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from Ms. Motto about this? Any discussion? Okay, all right, if we have nothing else, then I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve item 5.6.1, sorry. All over the place.
Recommend approval of this final plat. I have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. This is carried. I believe that concludes our agenda. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Before you adjourn, let me say one thing about your upcoming meetings and your schedule. I didn't put an item on here, but I probably should have. We are updating our impact fees. So some of you have been through this before, and we form what's called the Capital Improvements Advisory Committee. And I know a couple of you have been through this before in different ways. So the good news is starting going forward here and over your next few meetings, you'll get double the work, and we'll go ahead and double your pay while we're at it. But we'll have a P&Z meeting, which will be followed by what we call a CIAC, a Capital Improvements Advisory Committee. What we do, we're required to add one more person to the Planning and Zoning Commission that's in the ETJ of Terrell, and they serve, and I know, Danny, you've been through this before, and Ms. Kelly's been through it as a council member. I'm not sure if any of the rest of you, Joe, I'm not sure if you've been through it before, but this will be a new process for most of you. We'll be updating our impact fees, and so you'll be serving as another board, the Capital Improvements Advisory Committee. It's pretty simple when it comes down to it, but I kind of want to give you a heads up and forewarn you, because next month you may wind up getting 2 agendas, 2 meetings on the same evening, and so we'll work on doubling that pay to help you out, okay? Yeah.